everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Rebecca and Rebecca. I'm Rebecca Reed from rural Indiana, and my partner in books is Rebecca Yager from Dallas, Texas. Hi, Rebecca. How's it going?
Hey, Rebecca, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm well, thank you. School is almost here,
Hmm.
so we're gearing up for that. But I'm almost done with my college classes, so
Yay!
yay for that.
So
Um,
proud.
That's exciting. I'm excited not to have to do homework anymore. Grading homework I will do. Doing homework is not something I'm interested in anymore. But
Okay.
that is not why we're here. We are here to talk about books. And today we have an review of a historical romance from KyLee Woodley, and this is book two in the Outlaw Hearts series. This is called Bounty Hunter, The Bounty Hunter's Surrender. So we're going to hear a little bit about that book from the back of the book, and then we'll get into the review.
Right. Okay, let's talk about the blurb. An expecting widow, a rugged bounty hunter, and a set of secrets that might shatter her fragile heart. The death of Aubrey Willett's wealthy but abusive husband left her with an unborn child, an empty chateau, and the last name of a criminal. When she learns he double-crossed a ruthless business associate, she's forced to accept the protection of the handsome and daring bounty hunter tasked with finding her late husband's fortune. Though Aubrey swore never to trust another man, she can't help but be drawn to the bounty hunter's rugged charm. After a tragic mistake cost him everything, Nathan Reed spent years running from his past. Now he needs funds to care for his orphaned niece, and quickly. The chance to retrieve a set of stolen documents offers an opportunity he can't resist. He'll find those papers and claim the reward, even if it means deceiving the alluring young widow. As danger rises, Aubrey's strength, honesty, and compassion break down Nathan's defenses, daring him to embrace a future he never imagined, a loving wife and family of his own. But when his secrets are exposed, will his chance at redemption and Aubrey's heart slip through his fingers? And that is the bounty hunter's redemption.
Wow. Historical. We've been doing a lot of these, but this one is different. This one is West, so we're doing pioneer times, cowboys. We got the pioneer town, and this isn't really I guess it's a little beyond pioneer, isn't it? Because they're settling down, right? This is San Francisco.
There's San Francisco. It's starting to become a bustling city at
Right.
this time. So, um,
But yeah, so I've got all the things, right? The outlaws, you've got the law, you've got the bounty hunter,
mhm,
and you've got Aubrey, who, if you read book one, which was called The Bandit's Redemption, um, is the sister of the hero in book one. And she's in book one a little bit. She was kidnapped in book one, which is talked about in book two, so it's not a spoiler. Um,
mhm,
she was kidnapped with because her, as it mentioned in the book blurb, her late husband was a criminal, but he has a brother, a half brother, I guess,
half brother.
was a
Yeah.
half brother who wants what he had, I guess. I don't know how else to say it. And there's quite a few people who actually want what her husband had, as far as thinking there might be some money or some documents. There's things that people think exist that may or may not exist that they want. And so they're sending all these people after them.
Right.
And there are several not criminals, I guess, but several villains in this story. It's not just one.
It
Um,
isn't just one. Yeah. It's a
yeah.
poor
And
Aubrey. She's got all kinds of people after her.
it's like, yeah, they're like converging. This poor, she's like the little rabbit in the clearing, and there's all the wolves like kind of pacing around
Like, nice
her.
image. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how it
You're
is
circling.
because uh Yeah, circling. And she's been through a rough time. Her husband was not a nice person.
No, no.
She was just kidnapped. She's pregnant,
She's
which of course
pregnant.
anyone who's been pregnant is gonna know that is not a good time for drama because you're already experiencing enough drama in your own life. Uh, so poor Aubrey needs someone to help take care of her, and that's where Nathan comes in.
But whether she wants it or not, because she seems kind of
Yeah,
determined to really make it on her own. She
that's
is a
true.
feisty one, which I liked actually.
Yes.
But yeah, how can you resist Nathan? I mean, talk about a good guy, you know? He's done shady things. He's got a little bit of a past, but he's a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. And yes, he has been involved in some things that were a little bit compromising. But he has a good reason. Not that
Mm,
that makes it right. I'm not condoning that you should the ends justify the means. That's not my philosophy. However, when you are talking about characters in a book and
mm,
they have a backstory and you understand the motivations for what they were doing,
right,
um,
right.
it can take that thing that was definitely not right, and you can be like, well, I understand why they did it. They still have
Hmm.
consequences, just like in real
Sure,
life.
sure.
We make mistakes, we say we're sorry, we confess, we still get consequences, and that's still the case here.
Yeah.
He doesn't get off the hook for these things, but um, it's really holding him back, though, all the things that he's done and all the things that even when he was a teen, right, way back,
Hmm.
the things that happened
That's true.
are really holding him back. And
Right.
I think he would still be held back were it not for his niece, who is now an orphan.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, again, heart of gold. But yeah, he's having a hard time forgiving himself and letting go of the mistakes he made. And that's translating into the present, although he's, doing his best. He's doing his best with his orphan niece, Felicity, who's in a foundling asylum, which I had never heard of, the San Francisco Foundling Asylum, which KyLee noted in her book is a real place. And there's a real
Mhm.
sheet in the back of the book. Read the notes in the back of the book. And I don't know if that was on the audio, if they do the acknowledgments on audio.
I
But
can't remember, to be honest, if I
but
remember that or not, but definitely don't skip over those things
yeah,
because yes, there's very good information and she talks about this real place.
right.
And it's like when you read about it, even, it just gives you chills. It's like they have a drop box for babies for
Yeah.
crying out loud.
Yeah.
Like, and you got to remember, this is frontier, this is rough town. I mean, it's San Francisco, but it's still a fledgling San Francisco. And there's rough characters, there's,
Right.
lots of things happen where babies just they lose their parents, they're abandoned for whatever reason. Maybe it's not even because they're necessarily wanting to be abandoned, but because the parents just can't take care of them.
Just get
Um,
well, or in the case of Nathan's sister, it was an affair with a married man, and we'll leave it at that. But so it made it tough for a single woman too to have a baby. Talk about reputation gone.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's tough.
they had no choice. I mean,
Yeah,
there was little recompense other than a church maybe that could take these children
right.
in. This was probably actually saved children's lives to be able to have this opportunity. And it
Hmm.
wasn't necessarily a given that they would survive, but at least they had a shot
Right,
at it.
right. So
And yeah, and so it served a very important purpose in this frontier era.
it did well for Nathan because right now his niece is in this foundling asylum and he wants to get her out and wants to care for her and wants to. But again, he's a single man who doesn't
And
have all
she's
the
nursing.
capability. Yeah, to
It's
do
not
that.
like,
So, woo,
yeah. So it's a double. I mean, there's way more to it than he can't just take her out and
right.
like care for her on his own. There's just no way. So,
Right.
yes, and it does provide a huge motivation for him to move forward and to become a more upright citizen as well.
He's upright. He's just, he's struggling. He's trying to find a way to make money, care for his niece, to even atone for part of his past. So
Mhm.
he's just this bundle. And then he meets Aubrey, who's, a widowed, pregnant woman who's, like you said, being surrounded by a pack of wolves who are all after something. And even
And
Aubrey's
Nathan
like,
is a
wait,
wolf.
wait.
Nathan is one of the wolves at the beginning, in a way. Yes, he
Eh,
is. He is until he meets her. I think he is. He's a wolf at the beginning.
he's a baby wolf. I
Or
don't.
is he a sheep in wolf's clothing?
Hmm. All right. People that have read the book, Bounty Hunters Surrender, comment. Let us know how you feel. Is Nathan a wolf at the beginning of the story? Do you think this is his whole redemption, or is he just haunted by memories of the past and like he feels like he couldn't help his sister, and so he's doing his best for Felicity? But is he a wolf? It's a good question. I want to hear feedback on this. I want to hear the great debate.
Hmm.
So, hmm,
But he
hmm.
does have several opportunities to show that he wants to not be a wolf. And he definitely
Okay,
you
wolf's
know,
a strong term, but yeah,
I,
yeah, I
yeah,
know. But
he
when we first meet him, yeah, okay,
I think his he's been he's been living rough. And
okay,
that's
yeah,
normal. I think
yeah,
for this time period, right?
yeah,
He's a bounty hunter. He has to be a wolf in a
right,
way.
right.
Um, but that doesn't mean he can't soften. And like I said, when he meets Aubrey, there's several circumstances where is he definitely isn't wolfish. He he definitely is very more like shepherd-like actually,
Oh, nice.
because he helps her out of some very difficult jams at his
Yeah,
own expense
yeah, he
even.
does.
Um,
See, that's what I'm remembering more than the
mhm.
very beginning where he was wolf-like. I'm still going to protest the strength
Okay,
of
all
that word
right.
because
We'll
I
give
think
you
there
wolf-like. And
there are
that's
bigger
true. I don't think he
wolves.
was a wolf at heart ever.
Yeah.
He was
Okay, thank
never
you.
at heart a wolf. I think he put on the guise of wolf because he had to. It was,
I agree. Okay.
yeah.
I agree. Oh, this is interesting though. But yes, he had to. But he's not a wolf at heart. But yeah,
Hmm.
he was left with little choices and just and doing the best he can.
It
It's
was a hard
mm,
time, and I think that happened to a lot of people. I think that happened to
yeah,
Aubrey.
yeah,
Aubrey had some hard choices that were put on her, not some of it was her own doing, her own naivete at the beginning,
yes,
that got
yes,
her into the beginning of the mess.
yes.
However, after that, she was just trying to survive just like Nathan and
Yeah.
doing what she could do as a woman in a society that did not value women other
Mhm,
than as a
mhm,
beauty object. In a lot, in not all cases, obviously, there were many strong and very um, important women who made an impact on the country, on the society, in jobs that were very difficult. But in her case, she was kind of put up there on the shelf on a pedestal by her husband,
right.
and that happened to a lot of women, whether they were strong, intelligent women or not. The society just didn't allow them to bring out those qualities. It was often considered a negative if you had too strong-minded of a woman.
Mhm,
And not that there were plenty of them, but they weren't always looked on favorably. And so for a woman who was in society to be respected, she had to kind of pretend, whether she really was or not, to be meek and mild and just soft-spoken and kind of go with the flow and not contradict people and things like that, which really didn't, it kind of chafed against Aubrey's nature a little.
a little bit. She started out a little meek
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
her background,
Mm-hmm.
her
Absolutely.
backstory. So she learned some tough lessons too. And she also, like Nathan, is in a way trying to overcome her past and trying to find
Mm-hmm.
her future and trying to establish her way. And she's tough, but again, part of the wolves, this is interesting that are surrounding her, are starting to, is her own mother-in-law, Madame, as we'll call her, um, who, for a villain, and I think this is good for a good, deep, richly rounded villain. There's usually a reason for their villainy. There's usually some depth, some emotion, and Madame has that. You can almost see her motivations, and she's in the throes of grief as well. So but she's still not doing good things, even though you kind of
No,
understand where she's coming from.
she's definitely a villain, but her whole family, because I mean, this was her son that was abusive to Aubrey to begin with, her husband, that was Aubrey's husband. So the whole family is a bit villainous. Um, they they just have some different ideas, I guess, of what's appropriate and acceptable than maybe what you and I would think would be appropriate and
Oh,
acceptable.
yeah. Okay.
And they act on those things. And I think for them, it's a point of this is what we need to do to survive. And again, it's kind of an ends justify the means type of mentality that the Willets have. Um, because
Yeah.
they are used to being in a certain position in society and they want to maintain that. And
Mhm.
there's been some historical things going on in their home country because they were from France, which was recently taken over by Germany, which I learned in this book about the Franco-Prussian
The
War.
Franco-Prussian War. Yep.
And so there's a lot of things going on historically for them in their home that cause them to do some of the things that show up in the story. Doesn't make it right necessarily, but it does make it understandable. And I think that's the thing
And then
that,
you can see the motivation.
yeah, a good author is going to give you that motivation. They're not just going to be like, well, they just did it because. You have to see that. That's like you said, what makes that story rich and deep,
Mhm.
and satisfying for a reader is when you can understand the villain, even though they're still a villain. You
Yeah.
understand them.
Yeah. Understand what they're doing. And she was, um, I don't know, especially at the end, she kind of went overboard on stuff. So Madame is going to be an interesting character if you haven't read The Bounty Hunter's Surrender. Someone to watch out for on that. But again, she's not the only one. So
Mhm. No, the
so,
bank guy,
yeah.
was he a president, a I don't know what he is.
The
Title
president of
actually.
the
Was it the president? No, wasn't the
no,
president.
because
There's
there was a
another guy
president.
that's the
Yeah.
president, but this guy was, he was an officer in the bank. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if what
There
his
you go.
exact title was, but
Yeah.
he was, he was also villainous, quite
Yes, he
villainous,
was. He wasn't
and he
nice
was
at all.
employing some very underhanded means to get what he wanted.
And he
Um,
was greedy as all get out. So yeah.
yes.
Yeah, no, he was definitely villainous. So it's yeah, Aubrey really and again, you put a single woman, a widowed woman in her most vulnerable state, which is pregnancy, trying to protect an unborn child, and she's alone, and but she's strong and she's mighty, and
And
it's
she's
it's
learned things, you know, because I think she sees her naivete that got her into this
yeah.
position. And she has looked at that and said, I'm not going to put myself in that position
Hmm.
again. I'm not going to
Hmm.
allow myself to be put in that position
Hmm.
again. And she's very much motivated by her unborn child and the
Hmm.
welfare of that child
Hmm.
to manage this estate,
The sh
that she has been
the
left.
chateau, yes.
Um, and it's a big challenge
Yeah.
because there's a lot to it. And so she has to rely on other people some because she just doesn't know enough about the financial world, which as a woman in that time would not have been, she wouldn't have been unless she had been specifically, had someone in her life that was specifically into that. There's no way she would have learned that. So that was very realistic too.
Yeah.
But she does try to learn it, and she isn't, um, she's motivated to
Yeah.
learn about it.
Yeah.
So,
No, I again, this story I like. The characters are so well developed, and there's so much nuance, so much motivation. The backstories, why they do what they do, is written out so clearly, and I think that's what makes, elevates this book, elevates these characters.
I would agree.
Is how well KyLee developed them, and then you got this great story. There's romance and there's adventure and you know a thrill a
Hmm.
minute and babies and
Yes. And so I have a question for you because I read both books and you only read the second one.
right.
So, how did you feel about was the introduction of the characters and everything? Obviously, you were already talking about how much you like them. So, I'm
Mhm.
assuming that you feel like it doesn't matter whether you've read the other book or not, as far as like the enjoyment of the second book.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed the second book. It now that I know more about the first book, the Bandit's Redemption, and that it was Aubrey's brother's story, and he's mentioned in the second book. Well, now I am curious. I want to go back and read about that. But KyLee does a really good job of layering in a little bit of that backstory, layering in kind of what happened. I'm
Hmm.
presuming not all the details, but
Yeah.
enough of the details to make the characters come alive. And I presume for you, having read the first book, it was nice to revisit some of those characters to see them in the Bounty Hunter
Yes.
surrender.
There's quite a few characters, excuse me, not just Aubrey and her brother Jesse, but also Bo, one of the other kind
Mhm.
of outlawish characters in this
Mhm.
story. He was in the first one, and her father, who comes
Mhm.
in this one, he was in the first one a lot more actually than he was in the second one.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I already knew a lot about them. I already knew about like Aubrey's husband, and I knew a lot of that story about the Willett family, um, because all that had already happened, and like Willett, the brother, the half brother that was in jail and things like that. I already knew all of that, so that made it it was just repeated information. Not that it was made it boring or anything. I thought I just enjoyed seeing how the changes, I guess, in some of the characters that in the second book, which you wouldn't get from the if you hadn't read the first book, but
Mhm.
it didn't hurt the second book at all. Like, but
Mm-mm.
it was just more enriching for me to see that.
So I think it's always a good recommendation to read series in orders, especially because she is carrying characters through. And book three, we mentioned, is going to be Beau's story. It's convict's courtship. Um, and he's in all, the first two books.
Yes.
So I think it is good to read them in order. And it, again, didn't affect, I really enjoyed this. Bounty Hunter Surrender. I enjoyed it. Don't feel like I missed anything, but after reading this and seeing how well developed the characters are and how deep the story is, it's like, oh, I need to go back and learn more about Jesse and learn more about Aubrey's, past and
And if you're
things
into
like that.
photography, there's a lot more
Yeah.
about photography in book one too. It talks a lot more about the old style cameras and because there's photography in book two as
In book
well.
two, yeah.
But there's a
Yeah.
lot more, there's a lot about it in book one as well. And you kind of get a lot like where that comes from in book two. You see the beginnings of that in book one.
Oh, interesting. Because I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like Aubrey was interested in photography. So again, didn't feel like I missed anything, but obviously we can go even deeper
Hmm.
with these characters, and that's kind of exciting. So I think we should, yeah, recommend to read the books in order. The
I'm,
third one won't come out till next year. It's a
yeah,
2026
March, I think
release.
is.
But okay, so with this gap a little bit, because one and two are out, the way she kind of reminds us what happens in previous books. So like I got a feel for a little bit of book one, even though I hadn't read it. Didn't bore anybody. I don't think it would bore you having read book one, it's a good reminder of
Yes.
things to catch up on these people again as we head into the next story.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to read both of these books now. And even though the next one doesn't come out until March, because she's going to do a good job. If she does anything like she did in book two from book one, she's going to do a great job of catching us all up on
Right.
what we need to know. We're not gonna that gap. Sometimes, I mean, depending on the series, right? Sometimes people want to kind of wait and read them all together, but I don't think that's really a necessary
Right.
thing here. You could definitely start now and enjoy these two stories and then read the third one when it comes out in March.
All right. Well, I'm excited. I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed this. This may be one of my favorite books that we've read this year. I think I can unequivocally say that because there is depth and there is great research and the history, and you feel like you're in the time period. You do feel like you're in San Francisco, you know, at the time. So she sets everything, sets the stage really well. And you're right there along with Aubrey and Nathan as they're complicated people.
Hmm.
And that's kind of nice,
I
actually.
know. I like how realistic they are because and Aubrey is very diplomatic and she tries really hard to be respectful of her mother-in-law, even though her mother-in-law is not
Hmm.
respectful of her.
Hmm.
And it really shows like her upbringing was very um, kind and um, and that carries over.
Hmm. Hmm. But it's going to show her as she grows stronger in
Hmm.
her strength too. And
Yes, it'll be fun to see the children that were in this book in book
yeah,
three and see
yeah,
how they where she takes it. I don't know how much of a time gap there is, so it'll be interesting to see if there's a few months time gap to see these children growing up a
right.
little bit.
And
And
we presume they're going to be mentioned in book three,
I'm
knowing
sure
that
they
she's
will
carrying
be.
over.
I hope they will be
I
anyway.
hope so too, just to get a glimpse of
Yeah.
their life and stuff. Like we got a glimpse of Jesse's life in book
Yeah.
two after book one, him being the focus there.
That's why I'm thinking that it's pretty safe to imagine that they will at least be
Mhm.
mentioned in book three. We don't, we'll have to, we, I hope we remember to ask, but who knows by then.
Right, right. We talked to Kylie about it, but we're going to talk to Kylie about a lot of things about the characters and her research, which has to be, fascinating. And
Hmm. Yes,
everything else.
I cannot do historical research. I've tried. I'm terrible at it. So I have all the respect in the world for these authors, these historical authors who put so much time and effort into this research and are able to just render it into these little tidbits that just enliven the story so much that, make it come alive in your head and you can see all of these places and feel like you're in the 1800s, in San Francisco, with all the hustle and bustle and the banks and the trolleys and all of the streetcars and all the things, it's all there. So,
The growing city.
mhm,
So yeah, yeah. No, she does a great job with the research, that's for sure, and stuff. So I know we're going to talk to her more about that because to me that's the fascinating thing. And how do
mhm.
you stay focused on the story without going down all these rabbit trails, you know?
Right. Yeah, and a lot of things are just not like the Franco-Prussian War. It's not well known.
Yeah.
It's not something that's taught about much in history class, and if it is, people don't remember it because it's not World War II, it's not World War One. Everybody
Hmm.
remembers those.
Hmm.
So I think those are so cool, those little nuggets of history that are kind of left by the wayside. When authors can pull those into the story, that makes it just so much more interesting because I like to learn things when I read stories. And I don't know, some people, I guess, read just to relax or read to kind of forget about things, but I tend to read because I want to learn things too. It's
Hmm. Hmm.
and so these kinds of things for me are very they make the story just so much richer
Yeah.
and so much more enjoyable.
They draw you into the story more.
Uh-huh.
And I would say this is a rich story, and it's full of conflict and adventure and a little romance. And And yeah, worth reading. So it's A Bounty Hunter's Surrender by KyLee Woodley. I think we can recommend it highly. Um,
Yes.
and you could recommend the first book too, right?
Absolutely. The first book is fantastic. I was pulled into it immediately. Oh, and I read the first book, actually read the first book, which is unusual for me.
Right.
But I listened to the second book, and the narrator is excellent on the second book. So if you're into audio, I highly recommend the audio for book two, which is The Bounty Hunter's Surrender.
That's great. Well, we are going to look forward to talking to the author, KyLee Woodley, here in a couple of weeks. So we hope you will come back and join us then. But meanwhile, pick up the Bounty Hunter's Surrender, pick up the Convict's Redemption. Oh, I hope no, it's
That's
not
the third
the
one. That's
Bandit's
in,
Redemption.
yes.
The Convict's Courtship is
Convict's
the third one.
Courtship. Sorry, we're getting
Okay,
all the titles
let's
combobulated.
do this. Book one, The Bandit's Redemption. Pick it up. Book two, The Bounty Hunter's Surrender. They're both out right now. Read them. Get ready for book three that comes out in early 2026. How's that? And meanwhile,
There we go.
yeah, check out KyLee Woodley too. But we'll look forward to our conversation with her in a couple of weeks. So come back and join us. Meanwhile, find us at RebeccaandRebecca.com.
And we want to hear what you think after you get done reading. Is Nathan a wolf or not?
Yes, is Nathan a wolf? Please comment. Let us know what you think about Nathan. We love Nathan. So, but a great redemption story. So tell us what you
Mhm.
feel. Yeah, let's keep the conversation going. How's that? Yeah.
Yes. And you can find us at RebeccaandRebecca.com. And our audiobooks are wherever you find your audiobooks. Find us on YouTube as well for video and Spotify. And like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our episodes.
That's right. And we do have Instagram and Facebook pages under Rebecca and Rebecca Reviews, so it's a great place to leave comments as well. So again, let's keep talking. So,
Yes.
all right. Well, speaking of talking, we're talking to KyLee Woodley in a couple of weeks, as I said. So we hope you will come back and join us then. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.